It is different to other states.
Interesting opening that you have given us there. And now Lagos State is very, very accommodating. In my intro, I said it's a state with a unique blend of both the indigenous and the non-indigenous people residing, because again, Lagos belongs to certain people. I mean, we have the owners of Lagos State. Okay. All right, we'll have to go on a short break now. When we return, the conversation will continue.
The 1st of January 2023. So it was night. You know that on the 1st, the festive period, right? So I went out. So on my way coming back at Korodu garage, so there were no bugs. So I was standing and I'm going back to Onikpan from Korodu garage. So there was like a bus that now came. So people are now rushing. They want to rush in. I want to rush in. I'm targeting the front to enter the front because nobody was inside the box. So immediately I want to rush in, and my bag was beside me. So a boy now came beside me, wants to open it. He was like about to open it, and I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" So he wants to pick my phone. So she now say, "Please, Lord, don't shout, please, don't shout." And I'm like, "Okay, Misha, enter the bus, sha." And now I did not talk anything. I was just thinking that, so that's how my phone would just go. Hey, that day, I can never forget in my life.
We needed to do some housekeeping, but I believe that everything is perfect now. We are still discussing Lagos political landscape and its peculiarities, and we still have with us Prince Ibrahim Ladigai. Corrected me, he said Prince. He's a senior special assistant on political mobilization and strategy. And yes, I was going to ask my second question, and I said Lagos is very, very accommodating. You have a unique blend of both the indigenous and the non-indigenous people residing here in Lagos. And I'd like you to, look at how this diversity has also helped or impacted the political landscape of the state.
Oh, all right, yes, I guess I have to also take you back in memory lane in 1922 when the first political party was established by Albert Macaulay. It was called NNDP. And you see, prior to that, at the time, you could see Lagos as an entity, where we have mostly, political structures led by the Hubert Olayinka Macaulay at that time. And you could also see that for most of the streets you see part of Lagos, you see some names that are not, indigenous names. Yeah. It shows that before now, we have seen non-indigenous was also, contributed to the success of Lagos, and they were they were rewarded for that. You see, some streets, some, areas named after some people who are not that. What that, tells you is that Lagos has always been that very state that believes that if you have things to contribute to the success of Lagos, you're welcome. You could see after that NNDP, they created NYM. NYM, succeeded LYM. It was Lagos Youth Movement, and the British at that time, looking at a larger picture beyond Lagos, they said, okay, no, you can change it to Nigerian Youth Movement. You see that for most of the movement you see, actually started back in Lagos. You could see that you could name so many things that started in Lagos. The first primary school, the first secondary school, the first institution of learning, everything started in Lagos, and that has also attracted a lot of people to Lagos. And what matters is that, let me tell you this, refers to that when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, GCFR, was the governor of Lagos, the man in charge of budget then was an Igbo man, a Kabueze, and in fact, check other states, you will not see, things like that. At that time, Asiwaju wanted to tap on the intellectual capacity of Akabueze to make sure Lagos move forward, and that you see today that we don't discriminate that either this or that. If you have things to offer to make Lagos a greater part, you are welcome to Lagos, and that is why Lagos will continue to forge ahead in terms of IGP. We will always be. Other chose name for their state. Some named them Home of Peace, other said Lagos Center of Excellence. It's not a coincidence. It was well chosen. The founding father of Lagos chose that part rightly, and you could see that for what we do, it's been fantastic in the last since 1967. This state was created. We have always been, at the top of everything: sport, entertainment. You could even see that the themes agenda of Mr. Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, captured everything. And for everything captured, you see that both the indigene and non-indigene enjoy equal service delivery when it comes to Lagos.
I actually thought about that Center of Excellence this morning, and I said that is what precedes activities in the state. Still talking about the political landscape and its peculiarities here in Lagos, Nigeria generally has a large population of vibrant youth, and here in Lagos as well, we have a lot of tech-savvy youths, middle-class people who are sometimes not, or who do not want to get involved in politics, who, if I may put it in quotes, have lacked trust in government of the day, and so do not want to get involved or know what is going on. But you see them very active on social media, politically active on social media. And so again, I'd like you to link this up as the SSA on political mobilization. What specific strategies do you think that must be deployed, to encourage youth to move from just talking on social media to actively participating?
Yes, I guess maybe we are going to, adopt, a name on the show, which is Conversations. And that has been going on for a very long time. We also look at the last elections, and we also felt there's a different strategy of bringing youth on board. Yes, I'm a beneficiary of Mr. President. He paid for my NECO fee when I was, leaving secondary school. And I'm talking about year 2000 till now, that's 26 years ago. And you want to also debate with a boy or a girl who was born 18 years ago. So he was not even aware when Asiwaju was the president, was the governor of Lagos State. So it will be difficult. He's only, available with incomplete fact. The social media provide, him, on his platform. So at a time like this, what we're trying to do is to showcase what makes us, different. I'm talking about our leaders. I'm talking about the president and the governor of Lagos State. The current governor of this state, my boss, served, started as SSA. If at that time, we're looking at, when Asiwaju was the governor of Lagos State, that's like 20-something years ago, removed 20-something years ago from his age. It shows that he was youth. He was chosen, he was mentored, he was tutored, by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for now. So we are also, using that opportunity to also, find some youths who are productive youths. Now, the difference between Lagos youths, youth and productive youths. They are youths. About the time, I guess it was 2012, when former Governor Rotimi Amechi was the chairman, the convocation of Osun State University. I think the lecturer was chairman, and they asked him, when a politician sits, you always imagine what questions will come from, the union and all that, like employment, unemployment, and all that. And he said, it's not the government fault that our schools are graduating unproductive youth that cannot do anything on their own unless the government employ them. He said it will be better for us when we have youth who can create job, who can have, who can harness opportunity to also employ people. No state, no country in the world can employ 25% of our citizens, not even America. It is the private sectors. What the government will do is to create an enabling environment for everyone, to thrive. And the best people who can harness the opportunity are the youth. So in Lagos, there are so many programs by the government of Lagos State. Ministry of Youth is doing so well. Ministry of Recreations. Ideas. All we need, you have ideas. We have people who could mentor, who could tutor, who could also give you better opportunity to make sure what you are doing, is being accepted by the larger in society. So at a time like this, we have a forum. We have that mechanism to, even on social medias, you see that there's sections of political party in Nigeria that when you are doing a conversation, what is expected is either they curse you or that level. We don't do that. All we need to do is just bring the cat. Just bring the cat. Let me give an example of two governors. At the time when one was the governor of Lagos State, there was a particular area of Lagos which was what made us Lagos. I'm talking about Ikoyi, Victoria Island. As at the time Ashwaju became the governor of Lagos State, if not the proactive measure of Ashwaju, by this time it is possible we don't have Victoria Island again, because it will have been eroded by the sea at that level. And what the federal government could do then was just to pour sand, and Ashwaju fought that war, and it created Atlantic and all that, and that all those areas, the offshore areas, were protected. In Anambra State, the governor of Anambra State 2 years ago said Anambra is currently facing big challenge, that 40% of Anambra State has been taken by erosion. Imagine erosion chasing one governor away, and another governor faced the sea, created another town from that sea. You could see that. So at that level, we have to put the card on that. Okay, now which one will you choose? Will you have chosen a governor who says that erosion has taken 40% of its land, or you have chosen a governor who look at the sea and say, what, you can't do more than this, and we created an history that has become recently, about 2-3 weeks ago, you see that Eco Atlantic was in the news for positive reasons, while other states are in the news for negative reasons. So at a time like this, Lagos is doing that conversations. We have a role model to say, well, we have done this, this. And one thing is that you have to say that for every youth, you have to identify who is your mentor. Mentorship matters. So identifying your mentors will also determine how far you're going to go. So as far as Lagos is concerned, we are doing conversations. We have a way of bringing everybody on board. We don't curse, we don't abuse on social media. We only tell the story.
Okay, moving away from social media, you've also touched on the positive parts of how social media have been deployed, to reach the younger population. Now let's talk about the importance and roles of traditional grassroots structures, especially when we're talking about the political landscape and peculiarities of the state. The traditional rulers, CDC, CDAs, community leaders, ward leaders, and their importance and role they play, especially when it has to do with politics, grassroots politics in Lagos.
Yes, I would say yes. My dad is a monarch. Is the current Oba of Agboyi in Agboyi KTLCD, Alailu Akabe Soba Engineer Monsuru Abimbola Oladega, the Olú of Agboyi, the fourth Olú of Agboyi. I can testify to the grassroots natures and involvement of the traditional rulers, because first is that they're accessible. Accessibility takes ideas away. There are people who want to access either their assembly or rep. They're far away, they're not on ground. Probably because of security check and all that. But the palace is open. And that is why people can also come to the palace, and tell the monarchs their challenges. And since the monarchs, have access to the government in power, so that makes it, very, very simple. Let me give an example of a council in Yaba LCD. The chairman haven't spent like 3 or 6 months was trying to do, stewardship of his event, and he now did an award that comes with a reward of like 2 million naira to a police officer. And it was one police officer who was, those police officers you see that the community know they are very, very active. I think the lady has, a challenge, and she couldn't, have access to the council chairman. She now went to the obas in the areas. It was the obas who now presented the matters to the council chairman, and that thing was solved. And look at that concentric circle of, that way, and at the end of the day, there was a result. So Lagos has always, yesterday I represented the SSG of this beautiful state, Barrister Bimbola Saludane, at the Lagos State Ballets Forum. The Ballets Forum, met in Lagos. They also, did an endorsement for the president and also the incoming governor of Lagos State. You could see that synergy is there between the political class and the traditional rulers. So, and they also make sure and something beautiful come out from that. It's not just about, for every month, there's what we call peace and security meeting, where the obas, the police officers, the armies, the council chairman, they meet to dialogue on how the state, can go forward. So they discuss so many things. Definitely politics will also, come out from that. But I think at that level, it is a best, mechanism to also check some things. At the end of the day, we will also find Lagos, moving forward.
You've spoken extensively on the role of traditional rulers. Now let's talk about community leaders, where you have the CDCs, the CDAs, their roles as well, and also how important is it for constant engagement with the people?
Yes, I think there's a ministry in charge of that, which is the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Rural Development. And before now, you always see the CDC and the CDAs. The CDC is the larger body. The CDAs are the smaller arms in every local government. And don't forget that there's a monarch in every community. There are opinion leaders, there are traditional leaders, there are religious leaders who fall, within the confine of any environment. So they have a way they meet, discuss issues, relating to their peculiarity, which is state. Let me tell you, what might be a challenge in Agege might not be the challenge in Bariga. So it is the CDA that will determine that. And since they have that chain that could always lead them to answers, so it's very simple. That's why I said the CDC, the CDA, the CDC, have that way. There's a ministry, responsible for answering their questions, which is the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Rural Development. So that has been annexed, before now. So we have a very smooth, mechanism to always address issues that have to do with community.
I know you've touched on it a bit when you were talking about, but again, let me just ask still, given the cosmopolitan nature of the state, like I said earlier, it's a blend of both the indigenous and the non-indigenous people. And when it has to do with the political landscape, how well has the state done in ensuring that there is inclusivity, in carrying everyone, regardless of your ethnic or religious backgrounds?
Yes, I guess no matter how big your state is, you can operate outside the Constitution of Nigeria. The Constitution allow equal opportunity, freedom of associations, you could join any party and all that. But in Lagos, from inception, has always been a state controlled by the progressives. The name might change, but the ideology, remains that. You see, in some areas, you have a way you balance things. I've seen areas. I remember one of my boss, Joe Igwekwe, was appointed, as the special advisor on drainage, the Ministry of Environment, by the government of Lagos State. Affirming the fact that his mentor, Shuai Balamet, also did that. Kabus and all that. So Lagos, and I guess about 3 years ago, the Honorable Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure was Architect Kabiru. Kabiru is from Katsina State. So Lagos has a way of bringing on board, non-indigenous into its folds to run a government, and we have that, and it's been fantastic. And there are some areas where you see that, because it has to do with majority sometimes. And said in democracy, minority, we have, have a voice, but majority have a way.
It's about the numbers.
Numbers, so it determines that. But when it comes to, electoral and all that, it's competitive. You compete, and if you win, you win. There are some members of House of Reps in Lagos State which are not even from Lagos, which are not even from, not even one, one or two. I remember in 2023, I served the current speaker, the former speaker, now the speaker to the president, Femba Dabiamila, as the special advisor on political matter in Southwest. And when we were part of those who were, also making sure we did screening, for some members of reps, after the elections to gather their data and all that. And I made a particular one, and I just asked him, "Where are you from?" He said, "It's from maybe Benue." I was like, I was not assigned to Benue, I was assigned to Lagos. But the man was actually from Benue or thereabout, but he actually won election in Etiosa. Imagine that. He's the House of Rep in that place. Some people must have voted for him, which I don't know, it could be reason known to them. But that's to show how Lagos, I don't think that could happen in any state. I don't know. I don't think, even in near Ogun State, I don't think it will happen. Not to talk of, the east or the north. So Lagos has always been a state that will give, free and fair. Give everybody the liberty, to contest elections, and we have been doing that. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we remain this state of excellence.
All right. Picking it up from the state or the center of excellence now, Lagos, because of its status, the megacity status, oftentimes residents have high expectations from the state. And so looking at it again politically, what do you think the state has done in coping with these realities before it?
You see, what makes us fantastic is the fact that since 1999, no party has been able to defeat Lagos. When I use Lagos, because the Progressive is the party of Lagosians. And you could see Mr. Governor has also take a cue, from the founding father of Lagos. We have our roadmap. We have a way we engage Lagosians. We have a way, Mr. Governor, I'm using him as an example now, as a way he listens to Lagosians, listen to what they want. There's another thing for you to have a plan for the people. There's another thing for you also to listen to the people. Their plans might be different, from your plans. By the time you have to separate the need and the want. So Lagos has always identified a way to separate the needs and the want of Lagos. So they give Lagosian what the Lagosian want. And that has made us who we are today as a progressive state of excellence. Mr. Governor did an unprecedented thing about a month ago when he commissioned the largest schools in Africa. That has never been done anywhere in Africa, where you have a single, four-wall, where you have several schools, not just, buildings. You have even sports facilities with that. At the time where some states are celebrating 1 kilometer of road, Lagos has moved beyond that. We have seen a rail system, a water system, everything is going on according to the plans that has been laid out by the founding father of Lagos, and that has made us who we are today.
Okay, even as we begin to wrap up now, there are concerns about voter apathy, vote buying, especially now that the general elections are closer. So again, what more do you think must be done to encourage greater voter participation?
I guess electoral process that has been faulted, vote buying. How many votes can you buy? There was an election in Ekiti, and the governor didn't, lose a single word. That has never happened in any state in Nigeria since Nigeria started. He didn't lose a single unit. 16 local government. That governor won all the 16 local government. 2012, I was an observer in that same state where one of his predecessors was also contesting re-election. He lost all the 16 local government. Fast forward 12 years after, he won all the 16 local government. He didn't lose a single unit. Performance is key. Performance is key. If any state want to, compete with Lagos, first you have to throw in your card. What have you done that will earn the respect of Lagos? What have you achieved? At what capacity do you want to dictate your pace? So Lagos has what it takes to convince Nigeria that we have always been to Lagosian that I'm saying Nigerian because Lagos is a state for everyone. Like I said, the incoming governor of Lagos, inshallah, by God grace, said we are victims of our own success. For every primary school we have, go and check the record of that school. You see the numbers of non-indigenous. Go to our hospitals, you see them, non-indigenous. Lagos will attend to you as far as you live in Lagos, you reside in Lagos, and at that level, I think Lagosians know us for now. Since 1999 to date, we have always delivered. And I guess come 2027, inshallah, they will all also, repeat, what they are known for.
Okay, it is evident that Lagos politics remains a complex but fascinating mix of diversity, grassroots engagement, strategic mobilization, and evolving democratic participation. It was an interesting conversation we've had today with Prince Ibrahim Ladiga, Senior Special Assistant on Political Mobilization and Strategy, and we've been discussing Lagos political landscape and its peculiarities. Thank you so much for your time on the conversation. The program continues shortly. Stay with us.